Welcome to Defi Crypto today. Our topic today is Aperture and Delta neutral farming strategies that these guys have created, and they make it a lot easier to create a Delta neutral farming strategy. Although there are some restrictions, we're going to have to see that, and there are fees involved and so on. So we need to understand this before we create these strategies. However, they make it dead easy to do it. It just one click. But let's review quickly what delta neutral means. We did already 4 episodes on delta neutral strategies before. But this was a little while ago, so I think it's time for a review just in case people missed the previous episodes. So what we saw previously were delta neutral leverage farming. This time there's not really any leverage, but it's still farming and it's still delta neutral or pseudo delta neutral. So the point is to earn yield whether the token goes up or down. Okay, we have farms, they generate income, and they're based on some tokens. Okay, and what's delta neutral about it is that the price of the token can go up or down, and we'll still earn, and our capital should stay about the same value, whether the token goes up or down. So if the token goes up a lot, we're not making any big capital gain, and if the token goes down a lot, we should not make any big capital loss. Okay, that's the point of these strategies. They don't always work 100% of the time, depending on how the project is structured. But they do reduce the delta risk, the variation risk. So let's look at delta. So here you can make profit in up and down market with this. This is a strategy that we used in a previous video. Okay, so we go long on the asset, and we also go short on the asset. Okay, meaning that if the price of the token goes up, our long position will go up, and if the price of the token goes down, our short position is going to go up. Okay, they work in opposite direction, and because they work in opposite direction, the net result is 0, and that's why it's neutral. All right, so what is delta? Delta is the Greek uppercase delta. At most times means change. Here we're talking about a change in price for a token. The delta can be either positive or negative. So what's a delta neutral strategy? So we've got a positive change, and it's negated by a negative change, okay, of equal size. Okay, and that gives you a net change of 0, and that's why it's neutral. What's a long position? A long position is a position where we buy the asset. So if we buy the asset and the price of the asset goes up, our long position goes up. If the price of the asset goes down, our long position goes down. It follows the price of the asset exactly. What's a short position? A short position is when we sell the asset or borrow the asset. If you borrow the asset, it's like you're selling it. Okay, so what they're doing at Aperture, they at the same time they're buying the asset long, and they're borrowing the asset at the same time. Okay, so they're going short, and that's what makes it delta neutral or pseudo delta neutral. It's never 100% perfect. Okay. All right, so those are some other examples that we saw last time. So that's enough for the review. So you just need to know the basic idea behind delta neutral when you deal with Aperture, because you don't really have to do too much math. Essentially, you just create your position and you make your deposit. So this is what the investments look like. Unfortunately, at the time when they opened, you were able to make investments with a minimum capital of $500. That's no longer allowed because they were losing too much money on the Aperture itself was losing too much money because In order to maintain the two positions, they have to do a lot of operations in the background that you guys don't see, okay? So they have to buy and sell the tokens and so on. And in order to make sure that you don't get liquidated, okay? And by doing this, they incur gas fees on the Terra ecosystem because these projects are all on Terra, okay? Aperture advertises cross-chain investments, but they started with the Terra ecosystem, so right now it's all on the Terra chain at the moment. Okay, I'm hoping we're going to see other investments on Polygon and other places because there's a lot of good stuff happening all over the place. And Polygon, the gas fees would be a lot cheaper. So I think those strategies would be more profitable for us as investors and for Aperture as well as the protocol. Because right now it's a little bit expensive to maintain. And the minimum investment now has been raised to $2,000. Unfortunately, in my demo wallet, I don't have $2,000 to invest, only had $1,000 today. So I'm not going to perform the steps, but it's dead easy, okay? Just make sure you start with at least $2,000, and then you click here, and the blue invest button is going to be available. And then you have a ton of choices. You got delta neutral with Apple, Apple, okay? And you would earn an APY of 35% on this on the farming. The rates are quite attractive. If you sort them by descending order, you get 72% here for the delta neutral ETH, okay, synthetic ETH. This one though, be careful because ETH varies very fast, okay, compared to the other ones. The other synthetics, most of them are synthetic stocks. And stocks on the stock market typically don't have very huge deltas compared to cryptos, and that makes them a lot easier to manage, okay, and incur less fees and so on. All right, so be aware of that. Now, the other issue with synthetic stocks, like this one is Coca-Cola, MKO, is that you can only buy these during the stock market business hours, so Monday to Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? Old style finance, traditional finance, where they have like crazy short business hours and very long lunch hours and so on. So yeah, it's not 24/7. ETH would be 24/7, and anything that's not a stock in those synthetic assets, and quite a few, as you can see, there are lots and lots and lots of them, but it's not scrolling it down. Great. All right, so I can't scroll. Now, the other investment you can make is with Anchor Protocol, and it would give you 19.55%. But essentially, it's the same thing as just going to Anchor Protocol and depositing your UST there. So, see if I wanted to deposit, I could do it. Whoops, 1,000. Oh, I don't have 1,000 there because I'm already deposited. But let's say I wanted to deposit $10, I could do that here and invest that. All right. Now the gas fees would be paid in USD in this case. So, that's one strategy. The point of what they're trying to do, you have to understand that this is the very beginning. Okay. At one point, you're gonna see two things. You see Aperture Invest Plus here and Aperture Invest. Aperture Invest Plus will show sophisticated strategies that are all pre-programmed for you. Okay, a delta neutral strategy is a very sophisticated strategy. If you do it manually, it takes a long time to get set up. Okay, here you can do it with one click. That's the biggest advantage. With Aperture Invest here, they show you where you can deposit your tokens and earn some income on what is going to be a list of various protocols. Okay, they're going to add more protocols to this. This is just the beginning. Okay, So Aperture wants to become like a centralized place where you can have your investments made. Okay, so that could be a very interesting feature as well. You don't have to run around to 10 different protocols. You have everything at the same place, and it invests directly on those other protocols. All right. Okay. So yeah. So the idea is make sure you have at least $2,000 to start with. Then that will activate the invest button here. It's going to check after you connect your wallet over there. It's going to check how much you have available in UST to invest. And then you just have to deposit the UST and it will take care of it. All right. So we need to talk about the performance fees. Okay. Some people complain about that. Aperture charges a 10% performance fee on all realized gains. So if you make any profit, they're going to take 10%. In addition to the above value add Aperture provides, it's worthwhile also to mention that some of the costs associated with the delta neutral position that are covered by Aperture. When the position is open and each time a rebalance is triggered, there are Terra ecosystem related gas fees around 1.5 UST on average, which are covered by Aperture. So they charge this because they have to pay all these fees. And here they say, for example, our 10% annual take on the profits of $1,000 UST position earning 35% APY is 35 UST. If a rebalance is triggered twice a month for a year, this would be 1.5 times 12 times 2, so 36 UST worth of gas fees per year. So if they only need to rebalance twice a month for a year, it already costs them more than they're charging you. Now, if you're not using Aperture, you have to perform these tasks manually. Personally, if I'm going to have sophisticated strategies like these that require a lot of manual labor, okay, I would probably want to consider using a service like Aperture because they automate everything for me, okay? And the 10% fee, I would have to pay in gas anyway at some point if I have to rebalance all the time, okay? So check if the fee makes sense for you. Okay, if you perform the transaction yourself, and if you've done the delta neutral yourself on Mirror protocol, because that's where those things come from, they come from here. Okay, this is Mirror, and as you can see, we could take a long position or a short position on this. Like at Apple, for instance, we could get a very nice 13% yield farming on the long position and 25% on the short position. So that makes it about 38% on this investment. So, and that's where they get the income that they generate at Aperture. It's coming from the yield farming here. So, and they're taking the exact same synthetic stocks that you see here, and that's what they put in their project, their investments, right? Now, they also talk about other fees that are, okay, so you should definitely check the documentation. On the side here, it says fees and minimum investment size. That time, they were talking about a $500 investment size, but they're losing too much money. So if you go in their Discord channel, and you go to the announcements, I believe it's in the announcements. Yes. Important FYI on minimum investment size. The public launch password removal is imminent, likely, blah, blah, blah. This is on the 5th of April. When the launch happened, we will be raising the minimum investment to 2,000 USD. Why? Aperture loses money on most investments below $2,000 due to the cost we eat when rebalancing occurs. On our platform, each position is a unique position. We do not use a pooled investment approach. As you can imagine, 10% performance fees on the profits of a $500 position doesn't cover much gas or fees, especially for volatile assets. Volatile assets, the most volatile assets you're going to see there are the synthetic crypto assets like MBTC and METH and M dot and so on. So those cost Aperture a lot more. If you're using synthetic stocks like MKO, like synthetic Coca-Cola, the fluctuations are much smaller, so they usually, it's not as volatile, so usually they save on fees on those. Okay, so I can keep that in mind. Okay, so basically they were just warning us that this would be happening. Okay, so April 7, they were launched, and since April 7, now it's $2,000 to invest. And they're live. All right, so be aware of these fees, understand what's happening under the hood, and understand why they have to charge you 10% on your gains. On your gains, they're not charging you on your capital. So if you make like $300 a year on your investment, they're going to charge you $30 on that, 10% of 300. Okay, they're not charging you when you deposit and when you exit and so on. There are fees here that are charged from Mirror. Mirror charges a 1.5% fee on when you borrow. So they have to charge you that at some point as well. Okay, so you should definitely read all this stuff. So that's coming from Mirror. And as we saw earlier, this is the investment that you can have. Let me see. Like if you look in your portfolio, you're going to see your investments that you have on Anchor as well. Okay. And it's going to appear right here. Okay. So I'm thinking that they probably link to other protocols as well. Probably Spectrum, as I have a little bit of spec in my wallet and so on. But anyway, so it gives you an idea. If you want a no-brainer, easy peasy delta neutral strategy, Aperture is pretty good for that. The first warning is you need at least 2,000 UST in your wallet in order to perform the transaction. Second, you need, if you're buying synthetic stocks, it have to be done during the stock market business hours in New York City. So from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. And they charge you 10% on any capital gain that you make on these strategies. Okay, well, on capital gain, any gain that you make when you exit your strategy. Okay, and that covers their costs of all the transactions they have to perform in the background to rebalance your assets so that you do not get liquidated. The whole point of rebalancing is that they want to protect you against liquidation. So you shouldn't get liquidated with this. Okay. All right. I wanted to show you a couple of other things. Some people would be asking, how secure is this and so on. I haven't seen, let me check. To be sure I'm not saying something stupid. Let me check if they had an audit. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, they were audited by Audit Security. That's good news. And here they explain how the cross-chain bit works, although they're not quite cross-chain yet. Now they explain the product offering, which I already explained. These are the nice people that are doing the project. And these are their investors. So, it's pretty serious business. There's a lot of big names in here that are investing in this project. Okay, so they have a lot of supporters, and these are their partners. Okay, so they're well connected. As you can see here, there's Polygon. So I'm guessing at some point they're going to open up on Polygon as well. I really want that to happen because the gas fee is so much lower. And they already have some protocols that are creating synthetic assets there. So it would be nice to be able to access a larger number of synthetic assets than only those that are available from Mirror Protocol. Anyway, so that's it for this video. If you like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell so you know when I'm posting a new video. Download the free book. All you have to do is put your name, your email address, and hit the submit button and get a big fat button that says download the free book. And if you miss that, That's okay. We're going to send you an email with another button that says download the free book. And if you don't want to download the free book, that's fine. You just go to Amazon, pay $5.99 to Jeff Bezos, and Jeff will send me $1. See ya.